Hello once again, Grace Baptist Church. Pastor Jeff here on behalf of the elders. Just wanted to bring you an update, and maybe a bigger update than normal as we are in our midweek updates, as our midweek updates go. On Sunday, I had announced that with the lifting of restrictions going into Phase 3 here on PEI and the Renew PEI plan, we believe that gatherings of up to 15 people indoors as part of the plan, and it includes religious gatherings, as is noted in the plan. We believe that in light of that, we can now begin doing some things that we previously were not able to do. And so in conjunction with and collaboration with the other elders, we've come up with a Phase 1 plan that we want to share in a little bit fuller detail with you than just the announcement that we made on Sunday. I'm going to say this at the end of this video update, but please check out our website, gracepei.com, and on that website there'll be a number of resources, and there'll also be a letter. We may send that out to all of our members, but anybody can access that on the church website. That explains in a bit more detail what we hope to accomplish, what we hope to reinstitute as we renew PEI and look to gather, at least in smaller groups, as Grace Baptist. So I'm going to point you to the website always to get that extra information. We just want to let you know that our Phase 1 plan involves a few things. Number one then is that idea of gathering. So that's 15 people. We would encourage you then to start or to keep thinking about what that might look like for you. So as I mentioned on Sunday, this will start, Phase 1 starts on June the 7th, assuming that Phase 3 happens on our island on June the 1st. The next Sunday after that would be June 7th. And so on that Sunday then, we're hoping to put some of these new changes into effect. And so as I mentioned on Sunday, we're hoping that you can consider gathering with groups of about 15 people. So to gather in one or two, invite one or two other families into your home, if you are comfortable with that, in order to watch the live stream together. A few caveats. We understand that some of you are immunocompromised, you have had long-term illnesses and are recovering from those, or you just don't feel safe gathering in any form right now, and that's totally fine. And so don't feel forced into anything or coerced. It's just a suggestion that since we have this freedom now, we want to take advantage of it. We also understand that perhaps in your home you may have some very small children who have not been as appreciative of the live stream as you have been, or other things that may impede the ability of someone who's non-family from participating fully in the live stream in an undistracted environment. And again, there is no pressure there. There's no obligation. We're just trying to encourage people to take advantage of this if they can. And so we want to again just let you guys know that this is what we're hoping people will do. Number two, we hope that you will consider gathering with others who are part of your community. And what I mean by that is your geographical community. We had planned to institute 3 new grace groups each year for the next 3 years. And our last members meeting, we outlined that plan. So it'll be 3 new grace groups that we're going to start this September, followed by another 3 in September of 2021, and then a final 3 in September of 2022. But we believe that perhaps God has given us an opportunity because of all of this to ramp that up and to begin that process even now. And so we would ask, as your elders, that you would consider not just simply gathering with family members or friends that you're close with already, but consider looking around you, those that would be in your general vicinity geographically or your kind of neighborhood, and consider reaching out to some of them so that you can gather in what would be then a community group, sort of a house church setting in your local area. That would be a microcosm of the church now, but also then looking towards community groups later on and even starting those now. To that end, again, on our website soon will be a map of the island that has been constructed by our very own Jesse McDougall, and he's graciously put this together. And it shows where everybody in the church is at, and then they're also color-coded according to a general region. And so our goal would be, or our ask would be as your elders, if you would consider gathering with people in that sort of region. Again, there would have to then be 2 or 3 or even 4 of these groups, even within that smaller region, because of the restriction of 15 people. But we would just ask you to consider that. We have reached out to some potential leaders of these grace groups, certainly the first 3 that we're going to launch this fall. And so we may then also reach out to the other 6 and just see if those individuals would be willing to consider putting this all together. We understand that after not being able to watch the church live stream with anyone other than yourself, you may want to gather with family and friends. And again, we're not trying to discourage that or make you feel bad if that is your goal or your plan, or maybe what you're already doing, gathering with 1 or 2 friends, depending on your context. However, we're just simply asking as your elders to consider this as a way to sort of mirror the larger church, but in these smaller settings. So again, we just ask that you consider that. And then thirdly, the idea of communion. A number of you, when this all came about, asked about the Lord's Supper, the ordinance of the Lord's Supper. And certainly as we moved into the first Sunday in April 5th, we were going to have the observance of both the Lord's Supper and baptism, so the two ordinances of the local church, and yet we're not able to do either. And so we understand that this has been problematic and troubling to many of you, certainly to us as your elders. We desire to gather around the Lord's table, to hold one another accountable, to participate in the ordinance of the Lord's Supper, the memorial of Christ's death, burial, and resurrection. And we've not been able to do that as a church body. It is our practice to do that once a month, and that has not been able to happen. And so what is also interesting then, again, the providence and sovereignty of God, is that June 7th would be a communion Sunday at Grace Baptist Church. And so what we are also putting forward is that if you are gathering in a group of more than just your family, so there's at least one other non-family member who's there, that we would be comfortable with observing the Lord's Supper in this way in homes. Prior to this, since it was just your family, it doesn't really capture the communion aspect of communion of the Lord's Supper, of being together. And certainly these smaller groups don't fully capture it because it's not the full family of God at Grace. It's not the full church family of God at Grace. It's gathering to observe this. But in a microcosmic way, it is there, and so I think it's still appropriate. Again, there is a guide for home gathering communions that will be posted on the church website. So please read that through. That will help you as you gather the elements needed, as you get ready and prepare to lead in that, if you're the one that's inviting people into your home, and what that might look like. So again, these are just some ways that we want to look at embracing the Renew PEI Plan Phase 3. And we believe, again, in checking with other fellow pastors, with our MLAs and the Emergency Measures Organization here on the island, that all of these things that we're proposing are well within the guidelines, but they are means which we can sort of begin to gather, albeit in smaller groups than we would like, and be able to do some of these things moving forward. Lastly, if you are gathered in one of these groups from June 7th on, we would love it if you would take a video of that. Maybe hold again up the camera and take a little selfie of your home church, your home gathering, your smaller version of the bigger church at Grace. And again, you can send that to Pastor Dan at gracepei.com, or go again to the website gracepei.com/upload. That's not plural, singular, so not uploads, but upload, gracepei.com/upload, and you'll be able to upload your video there. And as we did in the month of May, so towards the end of June, we'd love to compile these videos and show everyone who's connected to Grace Baptist the smaller gatherings that are together, where families are now together, families from Grace Baptist are now together, watching the live stream together and potentially participating in communion together as well. So Grace Baptist, thank you for your patience in all of this. We know this has been a difficult time, and the longer this goes on, the more difficult it becomes. Please again still pray for us as your elders. We know that you are and are confident that you are. But as we continue to be in conversation with the EMO and our MLAs to see if some of our other proposals would be possible, things like an outdoor service or people coming into our auditorium to 1/3 the capacity. We've talked about some of these different things and what that might look like. Again, all of these things are just conversations right now. As more information comes available, we'll certainly share that with you as soon as we can. But for now, based on what we know from the plan, the Renew PEI plan that came out, and again, I was talking to a fellow pastor in town. He said it almost feels like I've been reading the Renew PEI plan more than the Bible lately, and it hasn't been the case. But we're just really trying to see what we can do, and not again try to disobey the spirit or the letter of the law. We want to fully comply according to Romans 13, but realize that Hebrews 10:25 is still there and compels us to be together. And so again, a lot more information will be available at gracepei.com. An expanded version of what I've just said via video will be there, a document that you can read, a guide for those that are going to participate and especially going to lead potentially in a home gathering communion, that map that I talked about so you can see who lives where in your geographical region and perhaps look to invite those individuals first, and some other resources that will be up there, including some helpful tips for gathering and observing cleanliness and those kind of things as has been put in place by our provincial government. So thank you so much, Grace Baptist. I know this is a bit more of a lengthy update video, but I hope it's been helpful, and we are excited by even a small measure of forward momentum that we can do some of these things safely, wisely, but begin to gather in some ways. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to always reach out. I can be reached at jeff@gracepei.com, dan@gracepei.com, and Jason at principal@gcspei.ca. And then obviously, certainly the website is there for you. There should be lots of information for you to digest and to mull over, and continue to pray with us. And we hope that we can at least enact this phase 1 reopening plan for Grace Baptist Church, which we believe is in accordance with what other churches in Charlottetown are doing, and which is within the guidelines proposed and mandated by our government. So again, Grace Baptist, we appreciate your prayers. We love you. We think of you often. We desire to all be back together again, but until that day, here are some things that we believe we can do in the interim. Thank you so much.